Dear, joining me on the program now, employment expert from cv.co.nz, Tom O'Neill. Tom, kia ora, thanks for your time.
Morena, dear friend.
Internships, are they still a thing? Is this? I mean, they may have gone out of favour, but these opportunities still exist out there?
Yeah, they do exist out there. There's not a lot. Like, for example, in the USA, internships, unpaid internships are pretty standard, for a lot of organisations.
Yep.
But here in New Zealand, there's a few, but there's just not a whole heap. As you say, there was a few organisations that maybe were doing poor practice, and that just really, knocked it on the head for many organisations, including Christian organisations, which was really heartbreaking. And so it's really, it's one of those things. If you're an employer and you want to really get a young person in, educate them, and show them the way forward, it's an option. But there are, to some degree, other options out there as well.
The unpaid aspect of it, this is a bit of a sticking point as well. I suppose that if it is on-the-job training, if you are holding the door open and giving somebody an opportunity to learn on the job who wouldn't be able to get a job placement otherwise, that's one thing. But if you're working them as hard or if not harder than your regular employees who you are giving an hourly rate to, there's some ethical questions there.
Well, realistically, sort of think about what is the point of an internship.
Mm-hmm.
It's to have an intern, someone in there to learn and, to work hard and to find out about the thing. But I mean, you're not going to be using them to make strategic decisions, So in that context, they're there primarily to learn and give you a little bit of a hand. Now, bearing that in mind, I wouldn't have a problem, if I was younger or my son, one of my boys wanted to do a free internship, just as long as I knew there was a start point, there was an end point, there was a contract, people knew what was expected. It wasn't going to be, after 6 o'clock or 7 o'clock, I'm expected to be there or babysit for their kids or anything like that. There's an expectation of what's required. And in that context, great, because the really wonderful thing about an internship for a young person, sure, it might be 2 or 3 months, and with no income, so that's challenging. However, at the end of it, they've actually got great experience to go in their CV, and they've got verbal referees. So if I was an intern at Rhema, Andrew Urquhart, is a verbal reference, and hopefully it'll be a good one. I'll be able to say, oh, look, I helped do, help set up programming, and pushed a whole lot of buttons, whatever you do, and really support it. And then I've got a quote from Andrew in my CV, Tom's a really great team player who works really hard, and it's a real win-win. But when it turns into one person winning, i.e. the organisation, that's where it just starts to become poisonous, really.
There is a wonderful opportunity to get experience, as you say, and that can be a good thing. And also sometimes, and this again is slightly problematic, sometimes there's the idea of, okay, we're taking on an intern and there's the possibility that we might offer you a job at the end of it. So you're kind of really baiting the hook, or you're dangling the carrot in front of the donkey and go, work hard, donkey, work hard. Particularly if it's kind of like, well, we've got 3 interns and we've got 1 job at the end of it. Again, this is pretty common practice in some industries within the States. But yeah, that can, again, there's some ethical questions on that one. Okay, you're going to get hard work out of your internship because everyone's fighting for the one job. But it turns into a game of survivor rather than an actual workplace, right?
Oh, look, 100%. The whole point of work is collaborative.
Yeah.
And if I'm fighting against 2 other people to try and get this great job, I mean, what will you not do? And reason. And that's not what work should be like. To be perfectly frank, if me or one of my kids were going into a situation like that, I'd be saying, mate, Is that really who you want to work for?
Yep.
What's the ethos and character of A, your boss, and B, the organization to allow this?
Yep.
Now, I appreciate in America it's totally different rules, it's all that sort of stuff. But here in New Zealand, we actually like our workers, on the whole, and we want to work with them as an employer usually. And so in that context, going into a situation like that, it's against the spirit of what work is about or should be about.
It can be a bit of an eye-opener, I imagine, and this not just for internships, but if you're focused in saying, hey, I want to work in this particular industry, there's other ways of getting that experience and industry knowledge. You can perhaps volunteer in some ways. You can find out whether or not this industry is a good fit, because honestly, better a couple of months of an internship and going, yeah, that really wasn't me, than going, oh no, this is my career for the rest of my life. Gosh, I hate my job.
Absolutely. And we're going to be really careful because, we take that first job and that to some degree for many people sort of determines where we sort of go for the rest of our lives. So,
Yep.
we need to, think about it, but don't be afraid to change. But yeah, it can just be really, really challenging, for young people coming into it and those sort of things. One thing I'd be, certainly encouraging people to do if they're looking to get experience is what's called informational interviewing.
Okay.
So you go to an employer, try and track someone down on LinkedIn, someone that you'd like to work for or an organisation you'd like to work at. Don't go to HR, go to the actual boss. So if you're a, finance graduate or something like that, look up the finance manager or chief financial officer. But ask can I have a coffee with you, please? And just like to find out more about the industry.
Wow.
Not, can I, work for you? Can I have a job? Can I just like to find out more about, the organisation, the industry? I'm passionate about the finance industry or the insurance industry or marine, whatever it is.
Yeah.
And just say, is it possible to meet with you and just find out more? Now, in that process, that's where you can, pitch a whole, hey, look, is there an opportunity to, do some volunteer work just part-time? Because again, you go and work somewhere for a couple of weeks. Now you've got a verbal referee. Hey, look, it's not, you haven't been there 10 years or anything, but you're early on in your career, and now to have any sort of commercial, even if it was volunteer experience, referee is gold.
This is a great idea. Actually, I love this thought of having an informational interview, because it really it turns the tables almost literally on this one. Instead of them interviewing you and you needing to be this perfect version of yourself, or at least pretending to be, so you can trick them into getting a job. It very much is you demonstrating. It's making your brochure come alive. As we've talked about, your CV is your brochure. You're demonstrating to somebody, I'm interested, I'm keen, I'm asking the right questions, I've got a great work ethic. You're getting to know me a little bit. But it turns the table in that you're asking them the questions. You're asking, so tell me about this industry. Convince me why it's a great industry to work in. I imagine it wouldn't go down well with everybody, but it's a great place to start. It's a great opportunity to try, right?
Oh, like 100%. See, most people are kind, give or take. And most people, if someone said, hey, I'd like to get some advice, okay, all right,
Strokes
no
the ego,
problems,
doesn't it? Yeah.
Yeah, it does indeed. So, if you're in a position and someone, to be perfectly frank, Christian or non-Christian organisation, and someone rocks along and says, hey, look, I'd like some advice. When I was working at, HR management consultant businesses, if someone, a young person came along and said, hey, look, can I get some, mate, great, see you in half an hour.
Yeah.
No worries. Because, oh, wow, that's really cool. You're a really cool young person, really want to help. No worries. And then suddenly, my eyeballs are now focused on opportunities for them when I go back to the office. Actually, we do need someone to help us sort out those files that have been sitting there. That's actually my job. And actually getting someone in there just to sort that out would be really, really great. And then next thing you know, they've got experience at the organisation with you as their their boss, effectively.
Yeah, no, a super good idea, and a real practical way, I suppose, of getting around this, some of the problems with internships. But different ways of getting experience, different ways of getting past that hurdle of saying, hey, I'd love to work in this area, but I've got no experience. And the AI bot that reads my CV isn't getting me to the first interview because I can't say in my brochure that I've got experience. That's a wonderful way of hacking the system in that regard.
Yeah. Well, absolutely. 2 weeks working for a business, an organisation is better than no weeks working for an organisation. If you've got to, work for free for a couple of weeks, within reason. I mean, but I'd much rather go and work in an organisation for 2 weeks free of charge, as long as I can financially afford it, obviously. Yep. Or you may even do, Monday, Wednesday, go in, and Tuesday, Thursday, Friday, work in another job that's paying you.
Yeah.
But try and get a couple of days a week for 2 or 3 weeks. It's just getting that experience and having, most importantly, that golden verbal reference.
Yeah.
Who will speak on your behalf in the industry.
And hey, again, you're doing this on your terms. You're the one that's initiating. You're the one that's saying, hey, I could do this, rather than jumping through hoops to get an internship, which may not lead anywhere. Tom, as always, wonderful wisdom and advice. More of that, of course, available at cv.co.nz. Thanks so much for being on the program today.
Always a pleasure. God bless you, friend.
Hey, thanks very much for joining us in the Rhema studio. Thanks very much for watching the interview. It's kind of nice to have an audience, actually. And if you did like what you watched, then do give us a like, do give us the thumbs up. And if you'd like to see more interviews like that one, or perhaps even better, subscribe and those interviews will come straight to you. Don't forget to turn on your notifications, and we'll see you in the next one. Cheers.